trying to, brown-eyed Sue.
Brown-eyed Sue.
But it's the tame kind, it's not the wild one.
And the cheese
And
like
then
that.
this is Mabel.
Yeah, I don't think they're all from. Can I take out my crab dip?
I got a PM Goodwill and Baton card.
You don't eat it with a spoon.
I'm eating with this.
Six. What's six? Six. No, I hadn't even
You know that's not six.
Okay, well, that's
When did you wear that?
4 pounds.
So, I wanna go. Well, I don't vote. I do.
Put it in the house.
No, probably not. Can't afford one.
Got it soundtrack. Good question, Mark. Really slick.
I bet you were lost.
You gotta watch your length.
Oh, well, that's why she cried. Neither am I. Yeah, I have.
You created so to speak.
Yeah, I make. Yeah, you pour everything in there. And then you bake it, right? Except, well,
They wanted well, I've got
That you, Bert? Brought that up.
you know, either drop it on, you know.
I don't, Commodore! God, why did you... I heard something over there. I wasn't sure. You're getting this, that. I wasn't really interested. I know. Here's what I'm interested in. Would you kind of step aside while I...
Normie!
My little sweetie.
Retirement party. We thought we'd send them off with a little bit of a bang, and we were sitting down planning this thing. We found out there were a lot of people that wanted to say a few words in his honor, so we figured the only way to do that would be in the form of a roast, naturally. Anyways, the problem we have with this is that there's an awful lot of people who want to help roast Don. And we figured it might get a little bit long. So in order to expedite this program pretty swiftly, I'll try to be very brief. Now, before we get going, I figured we'll probably get in the spirit of this program here first. And, you'll at least get a little formal. I realize hot on all that, but
Pictures over there 20 years ago.
I'm still wearing them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Now, since I was nominated to speak first and MC this little extravaganza, I felt that a brief synopsis of Father's life would be in order. Now, Dad's had a very, very long and complex and confusing at times life, and in order to fit it all into a brief speech, I felt that some visual aids might be in order. And my first thought, well, we could show some pictures or some movies or something like that, but that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But I figured also that probably wouldn't be brief enough. So I figured the only way to trace Dad's true history would be to follow it through his briefs. But before we get to the tail end of the story, I think we should probably start at the beginning. Now, Don started out his life in Draper, South Dakota, and life in Draper was very traumatic. And these were his briefs through junior high. He was very, very sensitive and had a few problems, but he outgrew this stage and entered high school. And being the athletic type, Dad climbed the sports ladder in school. And, he became the captain, and he's bragged about this. I've heard this for 29 years. He was the captain of every sports team in his high school. Of course, they only had a basketball team and only 3 guys on the team. So whatever, he was the captain.
7.
Now, after high school, Dad went to Dakota Wesleyan University, where he met Mom. And in college, he was known as the kind of a wild musician type. He wanted to major in music. And this wild musician crowd was said to have temporarily affected him. And he changed his briefs to lacy types. Now, fortunately, for us kids, fortunately, he outgrew this stage. Well, after a couple of years at DWU, World War II broke out, and Dad traded in his lace for a pair of BBDs. Those are mine. And after a tough session of basic training, Father put out to sea to go fight the war in the Pacific. Now, Japanese intelligence heard that Don joining the Pacific Fleet, and with his dreaded clarinet in hand, but they bombed Pearl Harbor anyways.
But they waited till he was gone.
Yeah, that's right. Now, after he successfully defeated the enemy, him and his fellow band members, Dad was discharged, and his first course of action naturally was to get back to South Dakota and marry Mom. Now, the honeymoon, so it was said, they honeymooned in Hot Springs, South Dakota. Ooh. Yeah, it took me 10 minutes to think of that one. Where am I here? After the honeymoon, Dad went back to school and completed his PhD in chemistry, as we all know. After college, he started making a pretty good living. He developed a taste for the good life. So he changed some silky ones there. And the result of these kind of slinky ones brought about 6 kids into this world. One of which came out to be pretty exceptional. Joel, of course, he's the only one that's got a PhD. Well, anyways, the years progressed, and Father became pretty active in just about everything he did.
Hold it for it. We gotta get. Come on up, you all.
You're not missing much. Believe me, you're not missing much. Anyways, he became pretty successful in just about everything he did, and touched a lot of lives. But I'll leave the description of this to the rest of the people who are going to join in the roast here. Father's now reached a point in his life where he's pretty much paid all his dues, and he can afford to relax a little bit now. So, now these, as you can plainly see, I always did like a big ending. We're going to, we've got a number of people who want to do a couple little things in your honor. And, I guess to be apropos, we'll start out with your eldest son, Joel. Hold your applause.
Now, there may be a lot of people who want to roast him, but on the other hand, there's a lot of him to roast, so. It'll all work out in the end. In the end. I was reminiscing about life with Father, and my thoughts turned to some of the happy times we had together, just a father and his son. You know, and I very fondly recall the first time my dad took me camping. I was 27. It was in a motorhome. And you know, I had graduated from college before I knew that lamb chops was something other than a little hand puppet that you saw on TV. But my father fought the war with a clarinet in the outback of Australia, and when he came back, he said if he lived to be 120, it would be too short a period of time to face up to mutton or camping again. But we finally did get him interested in going hunting, and he has been going deer hunting now with really remarkable success. Remarkable for the deer. And usually he gets up in a tree stand and falls asleep, which up, if there's any kind of a, well, not really up, next to a tree stand, and falls asleep. And I was thinking about patterns in life, and that sort of fits his life. And it really fits when I thought about how easy it is to buy gifts for him when it comes around to a birthday or Christmas. I once bought him a record of Glenn Miller, Greatest Hits, and he fell asleep on the first side. And so then I bought him a really good book, I think it was Thomas Wolfe, and he fell asleep in the first chapter. I once thought I had the solution. I really did. I bought him a subscription to Penthouse, but he fell asleep in the bathroom. It took us 3 hours of pounding on the door, and we finally took the lock, and 3 of my sisters had to change their clothes. And subsequently, we canceled the subscription. So now I buy him booze. He still falls asleep, but he's got a reason. You know, he's got
we really want to do something really, really special for this. So kids all chipped in a few hundred together. And we got a hold of Harris out in Tahoe, and we brought in a really high-class comedy team straight from Harris and Tahoe. I want to present Haben and Smith. Please.
A lot of the steam has already been taken.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
But I'll tell you what, I wish you would, but I don't think you were invited anyhow. Anyway, like Don said, I just want to welcome everybody to this day that Don Esmay has been waiting for a long time. As long as, he's been a long time, not just a friend, but a super fan, and deserves the congratulations and the respect for his accomplishments in life.
This turkey is no friend of mine. He don't deserve no respect.
Well, for Christ's sake, today is Don's day. And I want to make one thing perfectly clear. He's going to get the respect that he deserves and his accomplishments.
Go ahead and rattle your jaw. I've done all the research. I got the facts in front of me. He don't deserve any respect.
Don was born in Draper, South Dakota.
That's the day the country went to hell.
Don attended school in Draper, South Dakota and graduated with some of the highest honors that ever happened in Draper.
Played with and bribed all the teachers.
After high school, Don was called to serve his country in the armed forces and became top sergeant of the Army band.
I met him and some of his cronies, and it's a wonder we won the war.
Don always says he fought the war with a clarinet.
Yeah, it's the only instrument small enough to use as a swizzle stick.
After loyal serving our country, guiding the Army band in Australia, Don returned to Draper, South Dakota after receiving a courageous and well-deserved honorable discharge.
They ran him out of Australia for molesting a kangaroo.
Don attended the University of Mitchell, South Dakota.
Yeah, he spent most of his time chasing girls in moonstock.
While attending college in Mitchell, Don met and married a cute little gal, Lola Irene Swanson.
Yeah, she's too cute for him, and I still say it won't last.
What? He earned a degree in music and chemistry, and again, he graduated with great honors.
Yeah, it shows how dumb those professors were. He didn't catch on to his dirty, cheating tricks. He should have won.
After graduation, Don moved to Muncie, Indiana, and sought employment with the Standard Oil Company, where through Don's hard work and knowledge, contributed much.
Yeah, he didn't check the tires, he didn't check the oil, he left the oil drain plugs out, burned up several engines. They couldn't clean the windshield properly. They fired him.
Don, being young and energetic, he decided to leave Standard Oil and move to Coon Rapids and seek employment with the Lithium Corporation.
Yeah, they got sick of Don, too. They shipped him to North Carolina. He was only there for a while until they got fed up with his stupidity, and unfortunately, we wound up with him back here in Coon Rapids.
After the company closed operations here in Minnesota, Don was one of the few asked to move to North Carolina. Fortunately, Don and his family preferred living in Coon Rapids, moved back, and raised 6 children who have grown close enough to us to feel that they are part of our family.
Oh, hell, he raised a bunch of delinquents. He's got twin girls that are flaky, one girl's in Wisconsin chasing Indians. He's got a crooked salesman. He's got a quack doctor. And the other one's out in Colorado. They're trying to teach him how to fly an airplane.
They've been trying it for 2 years.
Every place Don went, he contributed much to, so very much and fortunately, they moved back to Coon Rapids, and he went to seek employment by the 3M company.
Well, 3M only hired him because he had a bunch of kids to feed. Besides, it doesn't matter whether he picks up a check at 3M or at the courthouse.
Don, being the aggressive and the ambitious person he is, he was not satisfied with his degree in chemistry. He went on to seek and get his PhD in chemistry.
That's mail-order jargon for pretty hopelessly dumb.
Don served on several important positions in the community and did his usual superior job. Don served for several years on the church daycare board.
Yeah, working with people of his own intelligence community.
Don and other people on the board of the Mercy Hospital did an outstanding job.
Come on, Paul. Well, if I ever get sick, I'm going to have Norm Epping take care of me.
Don has been active in youth and scouting programs in the community. In fact, Don received the highest award in scouting, the Silver Beaver Award.
I understand he's an expert on beaver.
In summing up Don's performance of work, family, friendliness, community, we can only say congratulations, Don, on your retirement, and we're
all
proud of your accomplishment.
Great from Hera.
Now I know why I don't go back to Harrah's.
That's Harry's Bar and Grill.
Oh, I'm fine. Let's see, next on our little list here. Another comedy team. Straight from Coon Rapids City Hall, Carolyn Voss. Give her a round of applause.
I'm trying to lose weight. I am not a team. Ask me. Well, Don, I've really looked forward to this. I'd really like to tell you what I think of you as.
Oh.
And I think of you as a killer bee. You, if I had little antenna, I'd put them on your head. And I think of you as a killer bee because I'm looking at your life, and I look at the Methodist Church, and while you've been attending there, we have gone through at least 5 ministers. We had Miller, Germain, Manueller, Zart, and Reverend Porshame. You know, that is a lot of ministers, right? Okay, and then you went on the daycare board at the Methodist Church, and we've gone through 5 directors. He came on the board, and he wrote the bylaws, he wrote standards for the thing, he drew up salary scales, he did a lot of work for that, but we have still gone through 5 directors. Then he went on the Anoka Ramsey Junior College Board, and he's the first one to represent Coon Rapids on the college board. And you know what? They dumped the president. They dumped Dennison, twice. And they've gone through 3 or 4 presidents over at Anoka Ramsey. And you know what? He's off the board, and it's really going slick over there. Really got the college where we want it now. Then he went on the Mercy Hospital Board. And you know what? They dumped meth. You know? He started that hospital. He's been there for, years and years and years. And this kid goes on the board, and out goes meth. That's a hard act to follow. Don't put him on anything you care about. Okay. The real question is, does he bring trouble or does he clear up trouble? I mean, do they put him on the board to get rid of somebody, or they put him on the board to get the show on the road? Now, is he a sexy, lovable, older man? Or is he a killer bee? I have gone through my life lately on voting. You know, I win most of them on a 3-2, which shows I'm not terribly popular, but I have a big mouth and I usually get my way. So I would like all of you to vote on whether he is a killer bee or a sexy, lovable, older man. So everybody that thinks he's a sexy, lovable, older man, raise their hand. There's a lot of queers out there. And how many think he's a killer bee? Anybody's got any insecticide? Right?
We had a little change in format just to break all this. You know, let Glenda, wherever she went, sing us a song. Straight from here is also Glenda.
Oh, God, she went and burned her
Yeah, I
finger.
burned my finger so I can't play. So Stevie said he's playing.
And what are you guys in for it?
We've only been married a month, and so I haven't taught him a lot yet. But
That's why you got your fingers burnt, baby.
He has got a lot to teach, though.
my guts calls him to you. As I was sitting at my kitchen table, thinking about old Mr. Esmay, when a thought came to my mind, why not sing for him on his day? Diddly-i-yay, diddly-i-yay for Mr. Esmay, ring-a-ding-ding, well, dadgum, boom-de-doo-a-boom-boom.
You recognize it, Bob?
In the army he did play saxophone and clarinet, but now when he toots his horn, his lip shot after one song said, diddly-i-yay, diddly-i-o, diddly-i-yay for Mr. Esmay, ring-a-ding-ding, well, dadgum, boop-de-doo-a-boom-boom. That's good, keep going, you're doing good. Himself led some troops of scouts, taught them all about knives and cleavers. Guess what's coming next? Yeah, okay. And because he never lost one, they gave him a silver beaver. Diddly-i-yay, diddly-i-o, diddly-i-yay for Mr. Esmay, ring-a-ding-ding, well, dadgum, boom-de-doo-a-boom-boom. Yeah, that's it, okay. Next time, everybody plays, okay. Okay. As a hunter and fisherman, he's the best, or so I'm told. But when it's time to see his catch, all he's caught is a bloody cold. Diddly-i-yay, diddly-i-o, diddly-i-yay for Mr. Esmay, ring-a-ding-ding, well, dadgum, boom-de-doo-a-boom-boom. He's taught us a lot of songs about old cars and deers to slaughter, but the one he's known for best is about a deformed Irishman's daughter. For Mr. Esmay, ring-a-ding-ding, well, dadgum, boop-de-doo-a-boom-boom. Okay. This is the last verse now. Today is Mr. Esmay's day, and to be here I am glad, because Mr. Esmay is to me just like a second dad. Diddly-i-yay, diddly-i-o, diddly-i-yay for Mr. Esmay, ring-a-ding-ding, well, then it goes, I love you.
Now to get a little more serious note, chord. I announced you, so you have to anyways. Archie P.
Careful, Archie. You can't say a couple of words.
Which one you got now?
I don't know which one I've got.
I think everything that I'd planned to say has been said. I was handed a poem when I came up here, and I don't know whether I even should read it or not. But first I've got to tell you that not long ago, my friend Don was traveling back from Chicago on an airplane, and seated beside him, the gentleman said, "You're Mr. Esmay, you say?" And he said, "Yes." He said, why are you going back to Minneapolis?" He said, "I'm going back to my class reunion." He says, "You know, it was the University of Minnesota that I graduated from." And the gentleman to his right said, "Well, sir," he said, "you know, I went to Harvard." And he said, "At Harvard, I always learned never to use a preposition to end a sentence." And Don looked at him and he said, "That's what I said." He says, "I'm going back to Minnesota. That's where I graduated from, jackass." When Don went with 3M, he thought it meant money, money, money. He didn't know it was Minnesota mining. But he found out later on when they cut his salary just the other day, and he's on pension now. Poor boy. $39,000 a month, you just can't beat it. When I saw the display by John up here, and halfway through those shorts, I saw that Don was pretty well strapped. I never knew he was a jock, though. Now, the other day, a woman in town told me, she said, "You know, I think Mr. Esmay is just terrible. The other day I was talking with him and he used the word manure." So I said to Sally, I said, "How come Don always uses that word manure?" And she said, "It took me 20 years to teach him to say maneuver." Now this poem was handed to me, and it touches on some things that have already been reported on, so I'm going to bore you with it anyhow. It says, "To Don Esmay," Esmay is spelled wrong, "he's come a long way, you can see, with a B.A., B.S., Ph.D. Actually, it was a true B.A., more like B.S., I think I can say. For some years, I can't say when, he's been with that giant old 3M. Now, Don's retired, and I say best wishes to you, Don Esmay. Yet Sally isn't sold, I hear, as Don may be home the entire year." Now, in Don's Take It Easy week, some new outlets Don will seek. Boy Scouting once claimed much of his time, as did the good old March of Dimes. This year, Don was a big receiver, getting the Vikings silver beaver, and Sally said, and this is so, he's an eager beaver. I sure know. Don served our college. He said it was no fun to send away Ron Dennison. And Don led education in our city, heading the college advisory committee, and for recreation in the summertime, well, he loves to do this many times. He takes his inner tube to the water and floats the old miss like an otter. And what is more, I understand he has a beer in each of his hands. Well, Don, retiring is no fun. I did it once, you know. Well, Don, retiring is no fun. I want to get that point across, and reiteration is the best way to do it. Don, retiring is no fun. Your second life has just begun, and if at times you get to itching, you better stay out of Sally's kitchen. We all wish the best to you and hope you have a hobby, too. And now in the days ahead, my friend, your retirement will never end. And then I know you so darn well there's a lot of things I just can't tell. But I'll say this, don't ever stop doing the things that make you hop, and you'll be happy every day and never get in Sally's way, where your name isn't Don Esmay, and that's all I can say.
We have another gentleman who would like to say a couple of words, Mr. Schroeder. Herb Schroeder, one of Father's friends from their bridge club that they've spent many Saturdays with.
And a 3M'er.
And a
And a
3M'er,
3M'er
yes.
and a co-worker for a number of years. And he's Donald Esmay, Ph.D. We call that filed higher and deeper. I started working with Don in 1955 at Lithium Corporation, and he was our great technical genius at that time. And an example of one of his better decisions was to put our laboratory, and this is a kind of a hazardous material to work with, on the 26th floor of the Rand Tower in downtown Minneapolis, now called the Dane Tower. Well, after the fire department and the building superintendent and some of the neighbors saw smoke coming out of the windows of the 26th floor, they chased us out, and they put us out in the swamps of St. Louis Park, just about the intersection of Highway 12 and 100, kind of back behind Stevens Buick and the Ambassador Motel. And Don did some more of his creating out there, and he came up with this compound he called Butylithium. I think it was named after some Australian girlfriend or something. And he brought this to me and he said, Herb, if you can make that in large quantities, we're going to make a fortune. So they gave me a garage out in the way in the back, the far end of the plant, and said, you turn this into a factory and you start making this stuff. Well, first thing, you can't do anything with it. You can't expose it to the air. You can't get any water on it. You can't touch it. You can't come near this darn stuff or it burns. It explodes. We managed to put it together. We started to make some of this stuff. One day I was at a coffee break. One of our more intelligent employees came up behind me and stood behind me for a little while. Let me finish half my coffee. He says, Herb, your garage is on fire.
And that's the truth.
So that's the truth. I went rushing out there, and there's flames coming out of the roof of this thing, and we had some kind of mediocre firefighting stuff around there, and I got in there, and I was trying to put this thing out. The roof got hot. Tar was dripping from the roof. Down in the back of my hands, I still have scars from that darn hot tar. But I heard the St. Louis Fire Department coming in the distance. I knew, fine, everything's in good hands. And I knew Don would be right with them, and he'd be in there to help me. Well, I was so darn busy putting this fire out, and I got it out, and I began to wonder, where are all those people that were going to come out and help me put this fire? There they are, all standing about 100 feet behind me. They were going to get close to that.
We knew better.
We knew better, right.
On the top of your head.
Yeah, it was on one
Maybe a couple of
yeah,
spots.
right. Well, I left Lithium Corporation and went to 3M. Thought I was safe. A couple of years later, he shows up. I figure it's a big company, you know. He's got to go somewhere else. No way. Comes back into the same department I'm in. We're out at the Twin City Arsenal. They knew that's a good place to put us out there. And then he starts coming up with these exotic compounds, which are probably about 5 times as sensitive as nitroglycerin. I'm not kidding. Terrible thing. He said, Herb, you take this stuff, you know that old lithium we used to work with, put those together, and we'll have the most powerful rock propellant in the world. Well, we did, but it just wouldn't stay there. You know, it just blew. After a year or two of that, they gave up on us. Don went his way. He was smart. He went into something nice and safe, like tape and glue and all that. And I went another way. But it's been fun working for you, Don. It was never dull, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Still here?
Oh, yeah.
Now, the next man on our list,
Need more?
oh, Jesus, I'm halfway. He's declined to talk, and I don't want to mention any names. He felt it would jeopardize his position as the chief of police, but I don't want to mention any names. He doesn't want to talk because he's a chicken shit, so maybe...
Wait a minute, Don.
Hey, now watch it.
Hey, now, John, I got a story that I heard.
Look at this. Clayton Hoagie's going to get up and talk. Come in front of the camera up here.
I really don't know.
No, we'll turn the camera on. You're up here.
Hey, John, you're tall enough for this thing.
This is my father-in-law,
It's
so he's
focused.
also related to Dad.
What I don't know
Why?
if I should tell if I heard this story about Don Sally. And it seems as the story goes that Don came home from work one night.
He got it enough.
Kind of uptight, and he says, Sally, Lola,
How do you do that?
I think we ought to get out of town for the weekend. What do you say we take off and go to that big New York and really enjoy ourselves for the weekend? Well, Sally says, yeah, I'm ready to go. He says, why don't we ask Bert and Donna if we will? So they call Bert and Donna says, fine, we'll go. So they go down to New York. They stay in the biggest hotel in New York, and they go out that night and just have one heck of a good time. They get back in the hotel room that night, and Don says, say, Lola, what do you say we do something kinky tonight? She says, kinky? What do you mean, Don? Well, Don said, let's switch partners. Lola says, well, we're going to have to talk to Burton and Donna. Being the Swede, you know, the Swede says, yeah, that's okay with me. Switch partners.
Yeah, you got it right.
About 3 o'clock in the morning, Don wakes up and he looks over at his partner and he yells, hey, Bert, what do you suppose girls are doing next door?
He's the one keeping our streets safe.
Move to Coon Rapids.
Yeah, I'm going to. Will Lehman, do you want to say a couple words? Yep. This is my father's next door neighbor for about 20 years.
You guys still fighting over the boundary lines?
Don't be there.
Not for long.
Well, you're faring a hell of a lot better than I am because I'm getting pretty uncomfortable hearing some of these awful things that people are saying.
Louder, Bill.
I think, well, I'm hearing, I don't really hear the words, but I hear the implication. This guy's retired and he's over the hill. And from listening to Burton and Paul here, it sounds like you were over the hill when you were 20. I don't really know what over the hill exactly means, but that sounds kind of outdoorsy to me, kind of woodsy. And as your hunting partner of some 16 years, I know better than that, Don. I know a lot about your outdoor abilities and your capabilities. And I think at this point I kind of want to help you, want to build you up a little bit. But to sound more believable to the folks here, if you could cooperate, maybe look not quite so old for the next few minutes. I want to talk to you about Don the outdoorsman, Don the hunter. Well, Joel said it. Don established for himself a hunting history and a hunting record that is truly remarkable. Well, let's first do away with that over-the-hill stuff. I have never seen one single hill that's ever been too high for Don. They all were. He's never been on. In all fairness, Don, I've seen you tackle a few bumps through the years. But seriously, I have a lot of respect for your woods ability and your hunting skills. You're what I call a trailblazer. Just last year, I must have seen him walk at least 3 times from his mobile home to his chair in the woods. That's a good strong 100 yards. Then Don sits down, he scrapes his boots, he scrapes the deer poop off his boots, and he meditates. And as you all know, he works for 3M in the sticky tape division. So he also managed to get himself a lot of patents. I think he can pay for his walls downstairs in the basement. I believe that a lot of these ideas come to you while you're cleaning your boots down. And it makes sense. If you look at Sir Isaac Newton, he had his apple. Don's got his...
Your shit.
And so after all that work, Don goes take his nap. Which he can afford because he really is a good hunter. And we know about shrewd people, you know, you got to keep your powder dry. In Don's case, I think we could say he keeps his powder. He still carries the same box of shells that he bought in 1965.
That's the truth.
I know it, I don't lie. And I heard somebody say about the arsenal, for your safety's sake and mine, Don, your powders become so unstable, that might be a good place to store it. You may wonder if he ever gets a deer. He does. About 2 years ago, on the weekend, I missed being there, but I can just about see Don getting himself that deer. It was a slightly used one. And I can just see it happen. He kind of tripped over it and sat down by that dead deer and scratched his hat and scraped his boots. And he must have said something really profound like, for crying out loud. Why not? And I think it's that why not part of you, Don, that has helped you make what you are. A great guy. Congratulations.
After a while, ask Will how many deer he's gotten. Well, he gets
I kind of grow accustomed to these things. It's kind of nice. For that many years. I'll never get into the crew cut. But our next victim is Mr. Craig, a former mayor of the city, and he's now on the advisory council with his father up at the Mercy Hospital. Joe Craig.
Board of Governors.
Craig from here. Oh, Board of Governors.
We're legally...
Oh, that's right. You guys are the ones that fired all that.
The Board of Governors, they're liable for what they do. The advisory committee didn't make any difference.
Well, that sun's getting in my eye.
Oh, sure.
When Sally called about a retirement roast, I really didn't know much about Don's work. So as Don knows, I do a lot of business with 3M Company, just completing a large contract over there, so I called Don's section, and maybe it was a poor choice of words, but I said, I understand that Don Esmay is going to quit working this week. I wasn't prepared for what I heard because there was nothing but laughter at the other end. They said this retirement is just a formalizing of what's been going on. Don, I really think a retirement should be on a positive note rather than a negative note. And you and I have had an awful lot to do with each other recently. It was my privilege to be able to sell the Mercy board on the fact that Don Esmay would make a good board member. This was a little over a year ago. In selling, I told Don you got one meeting a month. Really doesn't take much time. I think Don is finding out it's probably a couple meetings a week. But he has taken hold of the work. Don is now the treasurer of Mercy Hospital.
Man, are they in trouble?
He's chairman of the audit committee, so he's got that made. Treasurer and chairman of the audit committee. He is on the executive board and serves on several other committees. Don, I'm sure that all these things wouldn't have come to pass if the people on the board didn't have complete faith in you. Don is just starting. I'm just ending my tenure on the board. I'm in my last term, according to bylaws. Don is in his first. Don, over the years, there's been a number of things that I have kept on my desk simply to remind me that well, first is a letter from a distraught patient from back in 1978, and it was. I keep it on my desk as a constant reminder that even though we think we're doing the best for the hospital, things aren't always what they seem to be with the patient. So Don, you can put this in your file.
I'll get you, Joker.
Suppose you ought to read a little of it.
No,
You know and I will.
it was never formally answered, so that's your response.
That's my responsibility now.
The other thing that I keep on my desk is simply a reminder that whatever we do is done for the patient's benefit. And Don, I'm going to pass this on to you. As a constant reminder that although we have a good time, we have outings, the only thing we're really concerned with is the patient that comes to Mercy Hospital. And so if you'll keep that as a
I will.
My brother Joel just reminded me of something that maybe we should all ponder since we all live in the local area here. Now, this is a man that Mr. Craig said is treasurer and chairman of the audit committee. A man who has his wife balance his checkbook. Of the hospital. I don't want to offend you guys, but I'm going unity. Our almost last gentleman here is our former commissioner of the county, Mr. Roy Johnson, a former neighbor of ours. Spent a lot of time together. Roy Johnson. You're in big trouble now.
Yeah.
Don, tell you hard acts to follow. I just want you all to know that, you know, we give Don so much credit for so many things. And being an observer, you know, quiet observer all these years, I caught him, you know, time and time again. You know, it was Don did this and Don did that, and I look out in the yard, you know, and I couldn't help but admire, you know, the gorgeous yard they had, the trees that grew so well, the flowers, the garden, you know, everything seemed to do so well, and it was Don did this and Don did that. You know, really, never caught him working but once. You know, it seems incredible that you wouldn't catch him more than that. You know, we used to go up and down quite regularly. I forgave him, but I'm not quite sure that his wife ever did. Aside from that, you know, I wasn't really worried when I saw what happened with the college, because I thought, well, that could be a coincidence, and I hate to use this doctor. But God, when I saw what happened in the hospital, and then when I heard today the laughter that was created when somebody said you were going to stop working, that shook me up. All I can say is I think I'm going to have to give serious consideration to what your son just said and make a better selection of hospitals.
No.
John, Josh, I love you dearly. You've been a great neighbor. You've been a tremendous family. You live next door to Wattsville. My proudest bunch to be here. And prouder than that, my wife and I.
Now we're halfway. You know, okay. line things up here. I don't want anybody to feel slighted. Anybody else have anything they want to interject?
Go ahead, Grandma.
If not, oh yeah, the picture here before you leave, if you could sign your name. No John Hancock. Just a nice little signature. Yeah. If not, my brothers and sisters and myself, with the exception of Jay, who couldn't quite make it, have a little thing prepared. Are you? Prepared, yeah, that's the word. Where's Joel?
2, 3, 4. Notes.
The only one not here is Jay, and he's going to meet us tomorrow evening, I guess, but he couldn't quite get out without going AWOL, so.
Get closer, get closer.
And the one, and the two. How's that? You got to understand now, he's taught us all our musical abilities. We can only blame it on him.
Out in Minnesota, there's a lot of dads, but it's hard to find one round that ain't half bad. The handiest, dandiest dad by far is Good Times Papa John. He got his name from camping trips we used to take. A thermos of martinis helped to pound and in a striped shirt and checkered shorts, crooning to his peas and beans. He always naps after supper when the dishes aren't quite done. Misses church because he cannot tie his tie. What an excuse! And he's wishing as he's fishing that he could invent a tape from which fish could not escape. All they run when they hear our daddy's gun, because the bucks and does all know. He's been hunting 15 years, but he's only got one deer, and it was dead from natural causes. But he still deserves applause, because he's our Good Times Papa John.
Well, I guess the next course of action is have some hors d'oeuvres, a couple of drinks, beers over here. We're going to put the dinner on, and
I gotta say a word.
oh. Wait a minute. On my list. What are you talking about?
I gotta say, I only have one word to say. Well, one sentence to say. Please, everybody, keep on working like hell to keep my Social Security.
I have one other thing. If you want to grab your Coke or your beer or whatever, I'd like to propose a toast. I'll go for that. To our father. May you have 30 years, 40 years, happy retirement.
Right.
And the second one, may in the next 20 years you get a deer, huh?
Thank you all for coming. It's been real great.
We don't have to go home now, do we?
Let's see you really.